Live streaming in the FPV world has kind of been a staple for a long time. It seems like there might be a little bit of a resurgence in terms of the interview shows and things like that are starting to crop back up. Live streaming is a lot different than what I do. And it is, in a lot of ways, harder. My guests get takebacks, basically. When you're live streaming, it's captured, it's out there, and it's immediately saved into the cloud. So live streaming can in some ways be terrifying. Matt has a lot of experience in live streaming, aka Ole Gravy Leg. Matt Wiliamson has a lot of experience in live streaming, and we talk about that on this show. I'd also like to call out my patrons. Thank you. You guys are great. If you are ever interested in getting a podcast version of all these interviews, just check out the link below. That's one of the tiers that you can get on my Patreon. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
So I think that one thing that maybe a lot of people don't know about you, and you and I have talked a little bit about this in the past, and you offered some help to me with some of the stuff that I do, is that you're kind of a technical wizard. Like, you've been in the live streaming business, if you will, for a while. You're a member of the UFDA crew. You guys had the Beers Without Bot Grinder and Shit Show, and now I see you all the time helping out with the Beers with Bot Grinder stuff. How long have you been helping, running, supporting live streams for your crew and other people?
So it started, I want to say, I think it was like right around the end of 2017 is when I first cut my teeth.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was there as like a last minute guest, and I was going to get pulled in for like a half an hour just to come hang, but then they needed somebody, and I was like, all right, cool. And that was Random FPV did like a live stream of a build and stuff like that. And him and I had talked, and he wound up dragging me in there. And I wound up being there for like 8 hours. And it was funny because I had never done it before. And I was live streaming from my bedroom with, and Hillary was pregnant with Harley behind me, like right behind my recliner in the bed, like hiding behind the chair. And I had never live streamed. I had never really done anything like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, this is crazy. And I just kind of started learning from there. And I guess like I've just learned a bunch from a lot of people. Like I've learned a bunch from Dynamic Array, from what wound up becoming the Deadband Show. The Deadband Show, and then it wound up turning into Drone Disorder. And it's no longer around, but that was a great time. I learned a lot from those dudes. I've learned a lot from Enok. I've learned a lot from just like learning through watching YouTube, things like that. I don't necessarily know I definitely don't know all of it, but one of my strengths, I guess, is just like troubleshooting. So if somebody says, hey, I'm having this problem, like if I can't rattle it off real quick, I just start Googling. I guess maybe that's, instead of like a tech wizard, I'm really good at Googling things. Particular way.
I don't know if you know this, but every software engineer is only as good as their Google foo. I mean, straight up, like I
didn't know that.
Yeah, it's totally a joke in the software engineering field that like if it hasn't been answered on Stack Overflow, which is one of the most used software engineering question sites, then chances are you're breaking new ground. You can go to, I just can't tell you how many hours I've spent on Google beating my head against this one problem, trying to find the answer. And then after like 2 hours of rephrasing and digging deep and searching and finding new terms, you come to the one question that was ever asked on the internet about the problem that you're having. And you're like, yes.
Oh, it is so gratifying. Because I do a lot of troubleshooting with work also. Like we kind of, at Above Summit, like we're thinking outside the box and we're trying to do things and push new ground. And if you're doing that, then you're doing multiple searches to figure out, what your end goal is, like to create that one thing. And I don't know, it's nuts. Like when you finally, you're right, when you find that link and you read like the final piece to the puzzle, you're just like, thank fuck that's over. I feel so much better now.
Right.
Now I just have to do this.
Right.
It's like, as far as tech, like I just try to like really keep it like I always try to find the simplest solution for a complex problem. Like you could ask me to like do something that's way off in left field, but when it comes down to it, I'm going to try to find like the easy, not necessarily the easiest in terms of workflow, but like the easiest. This is all we have to do this properly and correctly and efficiently and make it happen. Because, I mean, yeah, you could do anything and you could take like months on a project, but it'd be way better in one day than 5 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like you said, it's the Google flu.
Yeah. Well, and like you and I had chatted. This is the first time we talked actually a few months ago. And I out of the blue, I asked you a question about like OBS or something. And you're like, oh yeah, this is how you do it. And you like walked me through how to do an entire live stream setup. And I was like, oh wow, that's A, lot different than I thought it was, and B, a lot easier than I really thought it was. Now I haven't done any live streams yet. I don't know if I will or not. I have, however, gone live while Bot has been doing Beers with Bot. Twice, as a matter of fact.
Oh man. Oh, I know. There was and he'll be like, man, Michael Rollins is live right now. Everybody go over there. Don't watch him. Don't watch me.
I know.
Go over there.
I remember the first time it happened. I was like, what's happening? Because like I went from like 25 or 30 viewers to like 75. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And then everybody started typing, bot swarm, bot swarm.
Yep. It's all in good fun.
Oh, dude, I thought it was hysterical. I thought it was hysterical. And I think
that was actually one of the times. I think that was one of the times that we actually started talking. Was like one of those I jumped over, and there was something you were having an issue with, like oh man, I think it was like you were having an issue with like your video like resizing or something, like you weren't full screened. I think that's what it was. And you said like somebody had mentioned it, and then you were like, yeah, I know, like I'm working on it. And I'm like, yo, hit me up. Also, when are you going to have me on the show?
Yes, that is actually exactly when it started.
And then like 75 other people said, hey, when are you having Gravy on the show?
When are you having Gravy on the show? Like, we're finally having Gravy on the show. Okay, people, we're finally having Gravy. Yeah, but I mean, it was just like, I was like, man, like I was just like, there's been you and the other person that, like, typically when I sit down, when we do this thing, right, like I'm leading everything, I'm doing everything, I'm asking the questions, I'm leading the conversation, and typically my whole point is just to put people at ease, right? But there have been two people who have had a meaningful impact on how I actually do the show. You're one of them. Just by opening up the possibility of live streaming, which I keep thinking about and coming back to and going, man, it would be really cool to have a live guest, but then there's just so much that goes into that. But also, the other one was Paul Nurkala.
You're putting me on the same page as Nurk.
So just listen. Whenever you can't see it now, but in some of the initial interviews, whenever I would start the live stream or something, you would see and you can't even see it now, but you would see like the hash marks and the level line and all this stuff, that comes with the camera display. And I had to like we started and Paul said, just hold on one second, you're soft, refocus. And I was like, oh, okay, hold on one second. I refocused, and then all of a sudden the on-screen display popped up, and he was like, well, can you get rid of that? I was like, well, I mean, probably, I don't know. I just have to figure it out. And he's like, hold on. And then like 30 seconds later, he literally walks me through all the menus. And he's like, this is how you turn it off. And I was like, I didn't even know I could do that. Right. So like you and him have contributed like a meaningful piece of knowledge to what I do that, whereas like I'm really good with the human aspect and I'm definitely technical. But like the whole camera and live streaming and a lot of that stuff is still beyond my, just what I've experienced.
You gotta fix your focus too, by the way, man.
Again.
Yeah, you're still out of focus.
Hold on. There we go. Better.
There you go. All right.
All right.
Nerk feels
by the way,
right
I'm what?
I said Nerk feels better also.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So like, what like, I actually have started to see a lot of folks live streaming now. It's becoming more popular. It's becoming in vogue, if you will. You've got the Cat and Jake Blackburn show. It started with Craig. Folks that are coming out and they're doing live streams of different varieties. What would you recommend or say to people that are starting to do live streams?
Ask for help before you even go live. Make sure you got everything lined up so you don't just like eat a shit sandwich your first time, because you're never going to want to do it again. That's like the best thing is reach out to somebody that is doing it, or like go on their show and that they're doing it efficiently and they're doing it well and good quality.
Yeah.
Not content, like good quality video, audio, stuff like that.
Right.
Because they've already got like the basics down, and that way it can translate over, and then your content is just whatever. It's not the content. Somebody actually said to me, and it really it struck a nerve with me, and it really made me think about stuff, was, it was with like I put out like my first Gravy's Grumble. I set up a website, which I'd never developed a website before. I'd never done anything. I just recorded some bullshit in the car when I was driving home because people thought it was hilarious. And somebody said to me, I love everything about this, but your audio quality sucks and I will never listen to it again. And it kind of like, it really like rang true. I'm like, shit, I never really thought about that. So now I use Adobe Audition to like filter out like certain like road noise or whatever. And that ultimately I just do it from home now because my microphone in here in this room sounds way better than like a Galaxy S5.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it was the person that gave me the Galaxy S5. So go figure. They said the audio. It was just kind of funny, but yeah, your content is like, your content's inside of you, but your hardware needs to work correct to get that point across. Otherwise, nobody's going to watch it.
Yeah.
And that's like what you were saying with like you were out of focus, things like that. Like it's a gentler. It's easier to see you for you if your shit's working correctly.
Right. And it's really funny that you talk about audio, because one of the things I learned very, very early on is that your video can be absolute trash. If your audio is good, people will still watch. If your video is pristine and beautiful and perfect, but the audio is trash, nobody's gonna watch. And as a matter of fact, actually we talked about this before the show. The biggest complaint that I get is that the audio on the interviewee side is not good. And the biggest complaint that I got in general, before actually this mic was sent to me by Bardwell.
Oh my God, that's where I got this from.
Oh, really?
No. That's where I got the camera from. That's where I got it wasn't the mic.
Okay.
It was I got it. Yeah. Random sent me a C922 like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But it was from Bardwell. So it was I'll give him his credit. Like it was from Joshua Bardwell.
Yeah.
Thank you again, by the way.
Yeah. So Bardwell sent me this mic, and all of a sudden everything just got better. And I know it's really actually hard on a lot of folks that have tinnitus to hear, the AirPod audio and things like that. And so, we were talking like somebody suggested you should mail people microphones. And it's like, that would be a great idea if I literally didn't talk to people around the world on a near daily basis. I'll solve for that later. But yeah, I mean, it rings true. Like if you are going to dive into something, like ask the people that have gone before you, that have the wisdom, if you will, to really help you out.
And check your audio.
Yeah, check your audio. Oh my God.
Well, that's I mean, that's the big thing, is because a lot of these people, like I know me, I don't know if you do the same, but I'm sure a lot of people that are going to watch this, when I go to bed, like I'll just have my phone playing. I'll shut the screen off and put it under my pillow so it doesn't catch fire or get really hot. And I'll just listen to just like whatever I want to listen to. And that's like how I fall asleep. I always fall asleep. And I've always been on like if you listen to something while you're sleeping, your subconscious picks up that knowledge. If the audio's trash, I can't listen to that. I don't need to watch. Like I could listen. I mean, people listen to a podcast and they can't see you.
Yeah.
So this could be a podcast.
This is a podcast for some.
Oh,
folks.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. I didn't think of that, but that's the whole thing. Is that like, I mean, seeing us interacting, that's all well and good.
Right.
But the audio is like what people want to hear you talk, because if there was no audio, then there would be nothing.
And truly, and maybe people don't understand this, but the video is for me. Because as the interviewer, like watching your facial reactions and the things that you're doing and whether or not you're comfortable, and watching when people go, I've never thought of that.
Yep.
It
definitely adds like it adds like a different dimension to it. And that's why that's why I was like so adamant that you do a live stream interview, because it's a whole different ball game, but it's exactly the same. Just like we were talking, I mean, like you've been pretty upfront about like the rules and stuff, and like how you do this. But if somebody just said, "No, I'm not going to answer that," and you're like, "Okay, we'll move on," like it's as simple as that. Like it's so easy. And
so that's actually called Chad Capper rules.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So Chad was the first one I interviewed, and Chad said. I said, okay. And I started out giving him the option I gave you, which is if you're uncomfortable, you don't want to answer it, then we'll just cut it out. And he was like, no, if I'm uncomfortable, I'll just say I'm not going to answer that. And so now I call those Capper rules. And Capper and one other person have gotten Capper rules. And the other person was Tyler.
Oh, no good.
Not the first set of interviews that I did with him, but when the whole thing with Derek, that was when I interviewed him. I was like, "We're playing by Capper rules today, my friend." I was not happy that day. But yeah, so I mean, but that's one of the things about going live that's so hard. Like when you and I do this, and when I do this with other people, I mean. We've been like, I see my counter right here. We've been going for officially recording for an hour and 27 minutes. There's probably about 10 to 15 minutes that'll get cut out.
No kidding.
Well, maybe. I mean, it could be. There was a little bit beforehand, and then there's there's the break that we took to pee, and you went to go get a drink, and so some of that'll get cut out. But like when you're live, you don't get any takebacks.
Yeah, but that's the thrill of it. That's like the next level. It's
right.
And like again, like we'll figure something out if you want. Like we'll talk after this, and we can get this. If you want to try to do it, then we can always. I definitely
want to do it.
Yeah. Well, if I can help, then I'll help. I'll make it happen.
Believe me, I'm going to come talk to you about it.
I'll assemble the troops, and we'll make sure your audio's good.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. No, but yeah. So, and I will also say. That would have to be the right guest. So I like, when I see Kat and Jake and Craig doing the thing they're doing, I've had a few people ask me like, hey, how do you feel about this? I'm like, they're doing something totally different than I'm doing. Like they're live streaming. There's no takebacks, right? If somebody asks a stupid question, then they ask a stupid question. If somebody answers the wrong way, they answer the wrong way, and it's recorded. Yep. And so I don't know, live streaming is an entirely different beast than
there's a lot of preparation for it. Like doing the Dead Man and Drone Disorder show, there's a ton of preparation. Like we would work all week to have everything lined up. Like we get the guests, we do the sound check, we dig deep and see all this stuff. We try to find out like what they were doing. They have something releasing. They have like they're going somewhere. There's an event or blah blah blah, and you have all this stuff. And that's like the multiple monitor syndrome thing. Is that now all of a sudden you have all these monitors full of all this information, and you're live streaming. You're like, fuck. Like which monitor do I look at? Because my camera's here, but the information's here and here. So I'm looking like this, like,
right.
Yeah. So what are you doing next week again? Like I heard there's an event coming up, sir, like, or ma'am, what's going on? And you're looking over here, and it's like you gotta know, you have to memorize all that stuff if you're actually gonna plan an interview. But like the best way to do it the first time is just to go in with somebody that you're already like comfortable with, and or that just doesn't give a fuck, and just fire off questions and just have like a little notepad that you can lean up against your monitor that's on the monitor with the video stream, and that way you can monitor both.
Yeah.
But your audio stuff's going to be on a different screen, so it fucks you.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I always use like I guess one of the things that I do is I use Skype, and obviously I don't think you can use that to live stream. But I like
you can with OBS.
Well, you probably could. You're right. But like even speaking about the camera, right? Like if I'm looking here, I'm actually looking at the camera, but you're right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Same. Like this is me. I'm looking at you right now. Yeah. So it's like you're consciously trying not to do this, and I feel bad because I'm not looking you in the eyes when I talk to you, and I'm like, am I disrespecting this guy? Like I'm looking here, but
your camera discipline is mighty good. I probably should look at the camera more often, but then like, you're just in my peripheral vision. I mean, it's stuff like that like you don't even think about that until you're 7, 8, 10 episodes deep, right? And it's just stuff that never even occurs to you until you're way into it, which is why you should go find somebody that's done it before.
Yeah.
So who should be the first guest that we do a live interview with? Can you think of anybody good?
I can think of somebody good. You should have Enok on.
Okay.
Because Enok is fucking hilarious. And he'll answer anything you throw at him. He's such a good dude. Like he's one of my best friends. We hung out the other night. And we'll hang out again. Yeah. Oh, dude. I think that was the first person that came to mind. I think that he's just so genuine, and also, like I said, like the whole like doesn't give a shit attitude. Like if you ask him a question, he's gonna tell you. As long as as long as it fits your channel, like I think that'd be great. I think it would flow really well, and if something went wrong, a joke would just be made, and it would be the joke would be made to capitalize on it, and it would continue being great.
Yeah. Well, we will. I think we'll officially have Enok on as the first live interview.
Nice, awesome.
I can't. I will not give a time frame yet. I will caveat it that way. But yeah,
I'm not telling them either. I'll just send them the link to the video if this is in it.
There you go. Yeah, it'll be in it. All right, man. So how can people find you? Where do you want them to go looking for you? Where are you on the interwebs?
Matt Wiliamson on Facebook, and then I post pretty much all my other stuff on there. So like if you want to find me on all my other socials, it's on there. And then shit, I don't even know what my Instagram is. I barely use it. I'm terrible with
but you've
socials.
Also got what? Gravy's Grumbles.
Yep, gravysgrumbles.com and just Ole Gravy Leg FPV on YouTube.
Okay. Well, we will have links to all of those in the description for all the episodes, so we will do that.
Awesome.
But any parting words for anybody, or want to curse someone out before we go, or
it's funny. I haven't even really sworn that much. Like I feel like I'm like people are actually getting to see like the actual me instead of like the drunken dickhead on like all this stuff, or I'm out like swearing in traffic. So it was cool. Thank you for this. Like I want to shout out just anybody that like has reached, anybody that I know personally that's reached out to me, like even if it's like a YouTube comment or something, like every single interaction holds its value, and I just want to thank everybody for that. So, and I want to thank you for having me on too, because
you're more than welcome.
I'm not
sir.
I'm not a huge pilot or anything like that, but you know, I'm just the guys, and we've talked a bunch in the back end of this, so it's you know, it's cool to be on here, man. Thank you again for having me on. And thank you for relating me to Nerk with technical support.
Right? Yeah, dude. I mean, I wanted to have you on for a while. This has been great. And I think that, you know, here's the hallmark, right? Like, you can tell when an interview is going to be good based on how far off track you get on some random question, right? Like, all of a sudden you find yourself like 5 questions deep into something you never meant to talk about. And it's like, okay, this is a good one. So we literally started out this direction and then took a hike through the mountains to the left. And I was like, this is good. This is going to be great. So
that's awesome, man.
Awesome,
yeah,
man.
like it's homies hanging with homies. It's good.
Exactly. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Michael Rollins Show, because quite frankly, we couldn't come up with a better name. You have been on with Matt Wiliamson, aka Ole Gravy Leg, and I hope you all have a great night. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.
And that's it for Matt Wiliamson, aka Ole Gravy Leg FPV. Really was a lot of fun talking to him. Like I said, you can always tell the good interviews based on how far off topic you get. This was great. I truly enjoyed it. He and I have spent a lot of time chatting and talking. He's a good friend. And I'm just glad that he could come on the show and just get some of the exposure that, quite honestly, he deserves, because he has been doing this thing long enough that he should get some exposure, quite frankly. Thank you all for coming along. By the way, you know, I won't harp on the 3-ball thing very much, but if you know 3-ball, or if you know who 3-ball is, I would love to get in touch with 3-ball. Anyways, talk to y'all soon. Bye.